Hello and welcome to Talking Good Games. Just finished West Ham 2, West Brom 1. Finally, West Ham have come from behind to win a game. Not only that, we've finally won a game at the London Stadium. We've also conceded. New year, new West Ham. Well, maybe too far, but we're here to discuss that. We're going to go through the highlights. No highlights until the 20th minute when Foster made a really good save from Lanzini. Then on the half-hour mark, it was 1-0 West Brom. It looked like New Year. Same West Ham, Gonzo.
Yeah, and all that talk about, all my talk about us being a fitter team and more organised and West Brom being fatigued went out the window. I mean, Winston Reid could have been involved to stop that goal twice. All right, had a lucky deflection at the end, but I thought he was having a mare as well today, Winston Reid, and at 1-0 down when James McClean, you don't want anyone to score, but not that fella. We hate him, don't we? We all hate James McClean, and oh, absolutely gutted. But yeah, I thought Reid was having a mare up to that point.
Even West Brom fans hate him, to be honest. Tom, what's your take on that goal? I mean, was it deserved, or was it just a case of when you're down the bottom, like we both are, someone needs a little bit of luck and they happen to get it?
I think that was probably more the case because the first 20, 30 minutes, I mean, it was an awful, awful game to watch. It was just very scrappy, two teams fighting for it. And I mean, it feels like the luck's been going against us now for the last few weeks, with the Bournemouth game. And it's just, those are the types of goals that you can concede. I do think Adrian can potentially be doing better. I know it is swirling and dipping and it's raining and it's horrible what it looked like there from anyway. But you expect, maybe he's seen it late, he doesn't expect the spin, I don't know. But you expect him to be doing better. But I can't exactly say it was deserved because, like I said, it was a very scrappy opening 25, 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I think Reid's just awful there. There's twice he can... If you've watched this channel long enough, I'm quite an advocate of making fouls to stop counter-attacks. McClean starts bombing it from halfway inside his own half. When he's at full speed, if you can get near him, you have to take him out. Lanzini did it in the first 5 minutes. He took a booking for it. It was perfect. McClean was away. Lanzini just went, you know what? Wham! He went through him, took the yellow card. Perfect. Stop the counter-attack. But Reid just twice just lets it happen. Chiari as well, but I don't want to go on about Chiari because I was hoping one of you two would actually, but McClean's 5 yards away from Chiari, overtakes him at the halfway line, they cross the halfway line at the same time, and when this goal goes in, Chiari's still at the halfway line. Almost beggars belief, but it went in half time, 1-0 West Brom. Gonzo, there was nothing to be positive about. We were looking at that team thinking, what the hell's going on here?
Well, we were going to get to the good news at the end, so let's deal with half time, like you say, and how we were feeling then. And I was really miserable and very, very grumpy. You say you go on about Kiate, I go on about the dysfunctional midfield that can't pass, and we saw it. And do you know what? Those errors in technique are even more highlighted in the rain, and you could really see that we struggled to control the ball. There were times when Obiang and Kiate were just giving the ball away. Even Masuaku, who was trying, with his same normal sort of endeavour, his skill wasn't really coming off. Dawson was nicking the ball off of him, so he didn't really have an end product. And we just struggled to get any sort of control of the game. There were big gaps in midfield. We weren't really pressing them. I didn't know what our tactics were. At that point, I was thinking, well, he's obviously only selected Carroll to be there for our defensive headers. I was feeling that negative about it. I was not a happy boy with the tactics, David Moyes or the players at half time.
Well, David Moyes obviously thought midfield was a problem as well as he took on Mark Noble for Pedro Obiang. And then literally seconds after the restart, Tom should be 1-1. Arnautovic, good play down the right, puts the cross in. Carroll hits it just over the bar.
Yeah, it was unlucky. Good play down the left, or don't you sort of say, by Arnautovic, and again come close again. I mean, it is boring football to watch sometimes. The constant pumping balls into the box. Obviously, we saw it worked. I guess we'll talk about in the goal in a minute. But to be honest with you, I think, just to add as well to what Gonzo said about that midfield, it was lackluster. There was no... We've always said the two of them, they run around like headless chickens. I couldn't believe when I was watching Kouyaté at times of just how it's just almost like he just didn't give a toss, half the time, just running, jogging back from the halfway line. And do you know what? I honestly think if Mark Noble wasn't on the bench before the game, if we didn't have him in the side today, we wouldn't win that game. I think he completely changed the game at halftime, coming on, giving us some stability in the midfield. Fair enough, he pulled Kouyaté around and he'll talk to players and you actually feel him, you can feel and see his presence working in the middle of the pitch. So fantastic for Moyes for bringing him on at half time, and I think it completely changed the game for us going forward.
Well, let's talk about that goal then. Tom, Creswell puts the ball in, Carroll gets his head on it. This is type of service that Carroll needs, is it?
Well, obviously it is, yeah. I mean, you can't really play through the middle to him because he's just got a very wild left foot strike. He strikes from outside the box, from everywhere. You know, if you're putting balls in like that every single time, he's unstoppable. We know he's probably the best header of the ball in the world when he gets into those sort of positions. And the thing is, it's not like we don't have the type of players that can produce that final pass that we saw from Cresswell today. We saw it so many times in his first couple of seasons at the Upton Park, should I say, when we signed him from Ipswich. You know, that killer ball, and he's not really had that for the last few weeks. And then, do you know what? That cross he delivered today was probably one of the passes of the season. It was absolutely on the money, the perfect ball for Carroll to attack, just off the top of the defender, rising perfectly. And it's just, you know, that if, like I said, if you're going to play to those strengths, those are the kind of killer balls you're going to have to play to with Carroll. And to be honest with you, I'd put my money on him winning that sort of header every single day of the week.
Well, I don't know if you've been saying that for the first hour of the game, but 72 minutes gone, Hernandez came on, then not long after Declan Rice came on for an injured Aaron Creswell, so we'll have to see for the team news ahead of Thursday how bad that is. Then in the 93rd minute, Gonzo, whoa, dude, Arnautovic went down the left. Finally, someone got past Craig Dawson, actually. He went down the left, put it in. Carroll's there at back post, but this is actually, it looks like an easy finish, but it's his weak foot, skiddy surface, could easily have ended up being one of the misses of the season, if you like, but he made it 2-1.
Well, all the other technique had gone wrong for everybody else all game. So, and just what you were saying, Declan Rice came on, did really lovely little bit down the left, Declan Rice, when he came on in a out position. Really unlucky Moyes there, of course, because he'd taken Masuaku off and then immediately got an injury to the other guy that could play on the left. So Rice came on, did really well. Hernandez broke through, but Arnautovic again was involved in that one. And then, of course, we saw it, as you say, for the goal. Arnautovic, who maybe didn't sparkle quite as much as he has in other games, but he was still whenever present today. I always felt Arnautovic was trying to offer something and trying to get involved. Do you know what? I would have slagged Carroll off silly today on this show, and it's only fair that you've got to give him praise, and I've got to give him praise. He did ever so well. It would have been easy to miss that. He'd already missed one. And do you know what? I was pleased. I'm pleased for us. We're West Ham fans. Do you know what I mean? And we needed that win. We couldn't draw. Draw wasn't good enough. I was still going to win if it would have come and got a draw. And how many times have we had I mean, you know, look at what happened to Bournemouth and just a history. How many times have we had a sucker punch in the last bits of games? So for us to come in injury time and get a winner, and for Carroll to be the hero and Moyes to be vindicated in his selection, which I was going to criticise, is fantastic. It's brilliant. We needed that, and I believe, I didn't have time, we jumped straight on the camera, I believe we're at the bottom three.
Tom, Andy Carroll, what did you make of his performance there? He got 2 goals. People a little bit pissed off he started, but he did start. For the first hour, you could argue, it'd be fair to say, he offered nothing, especially in the first half. He literally offered nothing. But he's got his 2 goals. So what did you make of his performance tonight? Is it sort of, he needs a little bit of praise and a little bit of criticism?
Yeah, it's such a difficult one. It really is a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, you see him sometimes he doesn't jump for balls, he doesn't go for certain crosses, and you just look at him and think, why have we started him? Why have we not tried to offer something to Hernandez or something, But in the flip side is, if, like we said in that last half an hour, he's the kind of player that needs a bit of confidence. And if he gets that sort of confidence where he's got his goal, where he's got the ball going into the box, and he's had a header such as it, and he's had that perfect delivery almost, it sparks him. You see him, he's running around, he's jumping, he's making tackles. And to be honest with you, I was surprised at the end, because I fully expected him to stick that 5 foot over the bar when it comes to the back post. Like, I just thought anybody but Carroll. But he was in the right place at the right time. He worked to the back post, and it was a great finish for it. It was a difficult angle, to be honest with you, and to keep it under control and finish it the way that he did. But I think, like I said, if you play to his strengths and you feed him with that confidence, he's a completely different player. But for me, he's just too hit and miss for such long periods of the game. And like you said, he could have easily been substituted about 60 minutes by, well, he won't do, Moyes, because what he's like with his subs, but he could have easily been taken off for the first sort of 60 minutes. But in the same vein, he's gone and scored 2 brilliant goals this evening. And you probably say he has to start for the next game against Spurs, because he can cause havoc, with that bit of confidence.
The problem is, though, I'm not sure he did cause havoc. He got 2 goals, but that's almost all he did. which is it's good. It's good. Listen, that's good. He got the 2 goals. That's the important thing. He took his chances. His first chance he missed was quite difficult, actually. And for a guy who's not scored all season, your confidence must be quite low. You're not going to stick them away. If he had got that chance after he scored his first of the night, you'd probably put it away, that chance he had just in the second half. But in the first half, he was just he didn't offer anything. He was sort of like the reason that Arnautovic wasn't sparkling as Gonzo said. He was in his space. That was Arnautovic. Arnautovic kept pushing forward to try and press, and Carroll was strolling about. You could see Arnautovic saying, well, you get up here and press with me, but he can't. He just can't do it. I think I almost feel like it comes down to the manager a little bit, and this is where I'm going to come to you in a second, Gonzo, that it's sort of like you shouldn't be playing Carroll in a game like this when you're going to have the ball so much, because you're expected to play the ball. The fans are expected you to keep the ball on the floor, work the ball, especially against. Now, for me, going into this game, we had one advantage: fatigue. And when we put Carroll up front, we removed our own advantage. We should have been knocking the ball about, stretching them, but we didn't do that. We took our own advantage out of our own hands with the team selection. This is why I'm struggling whether to praise or criticise Andy Carroll, because I want to do both. But at the same time, the manager that picked him, and I'm not sure the manager should have picked him, but Gonzo, was David Moyes lucky, or was he genius for picking Andy Carroll?
I'm going to struggle to say genius. I really am, because I'm chuffed. I'm chuffed. That's a huge win for us. But I can't forget the fact that I've sat down for 90 minutes with my head in my hands, basically. Well, you know, so is it a stroke of genius? I still think there was another system there that could have got better. Now, we do have a natural goal scorer in the team in Chicharito. His confidence looks shot, by the way. He looks like a player who is desperately frightened about making a mistake, and because he knows the microscope is on him and the manager's looking at him so closely, he is almost making a mistake all the time. He's losing control and stuff like that. It was so wet. I just didn't think it was right for Carroll to start. But I did honestly, and I'll stick by that. I think he chose him because he knew that with Rondon playing and with the crosses that West Brom played, that it was another body in defence, and I think that's why he chose Andy Carroll. It worked out, and it worked out a treat. But let's not let it paper over the cracks. Enjoy it. It's a win. We're desperate for some players. We need some players. We just still need to get control of that midfield. And we still don't know, as fans, how David Moyes wants to play. We don't know the type of striker he likes. We know he doesn't like Hernandez because he's played Sacco, Antonio, and Carroll at centre forward ahead of him. So, but they're all 3 different players, Antonio, Sacco, and Carroll. So I want to know what type of striker David Moyes wants. And then I want him to get that, and we need to sort that midfield out. So, look, the mistakes were made. I think we got a bit lucky. We'll take it. But let's just hope they need to move quick. The board needs to move quick on the players. We need to sort out the team.
The striker that David Moyes wants, I think Gonzo was playing for West Brom tonight, actually. Tom, what do you think? Lucky Moyes, genius Moyes, or was it a little bit of both? He took his gamble. You've got to roll the dice. He rolled it, and he's landed on a 6, and it's paid off.
Yeah, he's gambled massively this evening going with Carroll. You can tell that he doesn't fancy Chicharito, and to be honest with you, you see it in the way that Chicharito plays. Like Gonzo alluded to, you know, this is a player that was world class on his day, but he's completely shot of confidence. You know, he's seen something tonight. We know how physical West Brom can be at the back. You know, obviously Tony Pulis used to love to play 4 centre backs across the back line, and I can imagine that potentially that's why he's wanted Carroll's physicality this evening, especially against someone like Johnny Evans. But to be honest with you, like I said, the credit has to go for keeping him on. Like I said about 5 minutes ago, you know, he could have easily brought him off, so you have to give him credit where credit's due. But like you said at the same time, it's very lucky that what's happened this evening, and then a bit of good luck in our favour for once this season.
The one thing I will praise Moyes for is we've won after going a goal down. It's something we've not done at London Stadium. We've not done it in a season and a half there. I can't remember the last time we come from behind to win a game. So we're close against Leicester, but we did it tonight. And as Gonzo said, 3 points is 3 points. When you're down the bottom of the league, you can't really be too picky about how you play and how you get them and stuff. David Moyes won't give a shit tonight about how he probably will tomorrow when he wakes up. But tonight, right now, he won't give a fuck. He'll be going away delighted. Probably delighted that it was Andy Carroll that got the 2 goals, because he's probably thinking, well, that's proved my selection correct, etc. Carroll's probably delighted, and those goals change a striker's confidence and such like massively. So the next game we see Carroll, we should hopefully see a slightly different one. Gonzo, I was going to ask this. Tom kind of mentioned it, so I'll come to you for this one. The big sub, halftime, Mark Noble coming on. Did he change the game, in your opinion?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wrote it on the forum when he came on. We got some control. He was the one player that was able. Well, he wasn't. Lanzini was controlling the ball in the way. It was. But Lanzini's not always in the centre of midfield, is he? And he was the one player that grabbed the great game by the scruff of the neck and was able to control a wet, slippery football. Sounds ridiculous. I mean, it does sound ridiculous when you look at how much money footballers are paid. That you talk about controlling a slippery football. And we praise Moyes for that. Let's get that right. He noticed what was going on, and I'm going to give Moyes the benefit of the doubt in all of it. I'm going to give Moyes the benefit of that he didn't start Noble because Noble wasn't quite fresh enough or fit enough. I'm going to work on the assumption that Moyes sees what I see, what you see, and what Tom sees, what everybody else sees, is that Obiang and Kiate cannot pass the ball and just cannot do that job and all the pass and move, all that stuff that we need them to do. So I'm going to work on that assumption and we know it, and Moyes knows it, and he's going to fix it. And then I think we can judge Moyes when he's got his own players. But Noble, we'll discuss the players in a minute. But Noble was very good. Anyone has questioned him, he's showed his value to West Ham over the last few games, I think.
Outstanding. When he came on, his passing was superb. Left to right, backwards to front. Most of his passes were going forward tonight. He was spreading. He was doing what we should have done from the off. Moving that ball quickly from one side of the pitch to the other, moving the whole West Brom team from one side to the other. The players then start having to argue with each other. Now, getting West Brom players arguing among themselves, who's marking who and stuff. That's what you need to get in at. And that's what we started doing when Noble come on. But it's leadership as well. The prime example is when Ogbonna started having a go at Rondon. You can see Noble saying to Ogbonna, just leave it. We've just scored. We've got our tails up. Cut this out. We'll stop the time wasting. You can see Rondon laughing as I say, you've just... And then when Ogbonna did the foul, you can see the Noble went up to the referee and said to the referee, you calm down. You just calm this down. Calm down. He said to Ogbonna, you calm down as well. That's what you'd miss. But Tom, individual performances now. Anyone you'd like to pick out to praise? Or criticize? Up to you. I
can't think of enough superlatives this evening for Mark Noble. I know we're banging on about it again, but he, like I said, at the start of the show, he changed that game for us. And for anybody that says that he's past his days, his legs are gone, or anything like that, just needs to seriously have a shake of the head, because, like Gonzo said, in the last couple of games, he's made an absolutely huge difference for us. And Chelsea, including, I think it was Chelsea where he was outstanding. There's certain times that Mark Noble stands up and and is counted. And towards the end of the season, when it matters most in crunch time, he's absolutely fantastic. And for me, he just needs to start, as long as he can stay healthy, he needs to start for the rest of the season. Arnautovic wasn't at his best this evening, but obviously he had a hand in the goal at the end. I thought Cresswell was, excuse me, his delivery was fantastic for Carroll's goal, and especially mentioned to Carroll for his 2 goals. Although I didn't really, think much of him at the first 60 minutes, but also for Declan Rice as well. Special mention. I thought when he came on, I thought he was brilliant. Slipped in seamlessly again. Yourself, Gio, we've been banging on the drum to hopefully to get him some game time in the last few weeks. It's not happened, but every time I see him play, he just looks so comfortable on the ball. So yeah, not an amazing night for everybody, and like maybe Reed had a bad game and here and there, but yeah, other than that, for me, it was just head and shoulders was Mark Noble, best player on the pitch in that second half.
Gonzo, same question for yourself. Pick out anyone you want.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to quickly... Yourself and myself had a conversation. You did a stats video a few days ago, and I said that I'd watch a stats video. And remember, I said to you that you can find out what you want on stats. Stats will tell you what you want, and sometimes you can have a preconceived opinion. So with your stats video, I had already decided that Harry Arter was going to be shit for West Ham. So I watched your stats video, looked at it, I went, yeah, that's it. See, I knew it. I knew that he didn't do many key passes and tackles, and I confirmed what I wanted to see. Actually, he had quite a good pass completion rate, but I wasn't going to see that. I just think sometimes you can look at a player, if you've already made your mind up about Mark Noble, maybe you watch him and you only see the things he does badly, and he's not brilliant all the time. When he's played shit, I've given him a 5 out of 10, but you've got to sometimes look and notice things that he does well. Other notable performances, over the 90 minutes, the player that coped the conditions best was probably Lanzini, and of course, how can you not mention Andy Carroll and Ogbonna's challenge? When I know he might have made a mistake, his positioning was a little bit suspect, but he really got back, and it was either a goal or a penalty, or it was going to be a brilliant sliding challenge. It was a brilliant sliding block.
Yeah, just to pick up that Ogbonna one, that's a good point, because This again is praise for Moyes. Under Bilic, I think Obona would just stood still. I don't think he would even bothered. You just let Ollie Burke in have his shot a goal, or you would have just trotted back type thing. God's sake, this looks like I've got an agenda. But Chiati was awful again. I never say it all the time. I looked this up at halftime. In the first half, he had 19 touches of the ball. Only one West Brom player had less. Foster, their keeper. We are at home to a side in the bottom three. He's in our centre midfield. He should have the most touches of the ball. The one that's going to his centre backs, to his right back, to his left back, to his strikers going, I'm here, give me the ball, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. He doesn't fucking want it, honestly. He doesn't want it. I'd much rather see Declan Rice in there. I'd much rather see Reece Oxford in there now he's back. Who's someone in there that actually wants to fucking play? He doesn't want to play. I struggle. But good sign, no ball change game. Arnautovic, I can only echo what you two said. When you have a quiet game, but you still have an assist, and arguably he could have had two with that cross he did just at the start of the second half. How good are you? That shows how good you are. I think Masuaku was hard done by. He was up against a centre-back today, an experienced defender who knows how to play against players like Masuaku. Dawson had Masuaku in his pocket tonight, but that's no shame on Masuaku. That's probably one of the most difficult opponents you'll come up against this season in the Premier League in Dawson. But do you know something? Credit where credit's due. I thought West Brom were all right tonight, actually. I thought Foster was fantastic in goal. He saved 2 or 3 shots I thought was a goal as well. But Gonzo, final words from yourself, and who's your man of match? Although I think we're all maybe going to say our skipper, but
yeah, I think we will. And as I say, every 90 minutes, Lanzini, conditions well, Carroll, blah blah blah, and you don't normally give man of the match to somebody who's only played one half and hasn't assisted or scored any of the goals. But he got, I've said, conditions and rain too many times in the show, but he coped the best when we were struggling. I certainly will give it to Mark Noble.
Tom, final words from yourself. Just quickly, Tom, is this pressure off for West Ham on Thursday away to Spurs? Or are we just taking the pressure off ourselves a little bit?
I'd love to say that we have taken the pressure off, but we're still not not in a great position. Almost, Stoke win. I don't know if Stoke have got a game Wednesday, but if they win, we're back down into the bottom 3, I think, or Southampton or something like that. And like you said earlier on, I think that fight is back in the players' eyes. We would never have seen that sort of thing challenge from Ogbonna early in the season. We would never have seen Arnautovic chasing and constantly pressing and actually trying to make a difference earlier in the season. So I do think that the players will go into Wednesday night with confidence. We've already beaten Spurs once this season at Wembley. Their record at home isn't great. I know they've won a few games, but they've also drawn a few and lost maybe once or twice. So I think we've got every reason to be positive going into Wednesday night. Or not Wednesday night, the Spurs game, should I say. But for me, like I said, man of the match, Mark Noble, changed the game when he came on. And I'm like yourself. I would rather see Declan Rice or Reece Oxford playing in that centre mid any day of the week, excuse me, than Chiati and Obiang. The two of them, maybe if it was Obiang and Noble, fair enough, but the two of them together just cannot play together. And like you said, Chiati just did not want it at all this evening, and he just really disappointed me yet again. I've got no idea as to why, he wanted to leave him on there at half time, unless Obiang had a niggle or something. I don't know why he hasn't left Obiang on instead of Chiati. So, but for me this evening, the captain deserves all the praise, and thankfully we've come out with a win.
Yeah, captain for me as well. David Moyes deserves some praise, but I'll tell you what, he took a gamble. But something, I kind of like a manager that'll take a gamble. How often do we sit here with Moyes and Bilic say, "Oh, you're doing the same thing week in, week out, and you're expecting things to change"? It's not going to change. He changed it compared to what he's done against Newcastle and Bournemouth. It's worked out. Would it have worked out against any other team in the Premier League? Maybe, maybe not. Has fatigue helped, considering it was the last minute and we scored on the counter-attack? Maybe, but you take those advantages. Anyway, the night finished. Someone maybe got arrested for having a go at Jake Livermore. Someone did get arrested for breaking their seat, and David Moyes arguably could have been arrested for benching Hernandez. However, he's got off with it as Andy Carroll scored 2. West Ham finally won at the London Stadium when conceding. We've been Hammers Chat. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here, and we'll be back tomorrow night with our preview of that Spurs game at Wembley.